people in our city are really struggling, and sometimes it's just hard to understand what they are going through. But a new podcast is hoping to change that, giving these kids a voice and an opportunity to be heard.
Oh, they all want to be steppers. Watch your move.
New boy.
It's just not checkers. Watch what you do. You gotta do it to win. If you lose, it's okay. Just do it again. Ain't nothing wrong with being you. Don't gotta be like your friends.
Listen, y'all. Let me tell y'all something real quick. Careful the decisions you make. Nothing more valuable than your life, your freedom. Make that into consideration.
2 days after a New York City grand jury cleared a white police officer in the chokehold death of an unarmed black man, the protests are growing larger and spreading across the country.
Very angry. I stand here in the spirit of my sister, who fought for justice until her dying day for my father, standing outside protesting. She called the CCRB to do this investigation, and they didn't do their job. We called the Department of Justice. They didn't do their job.
Yo, this is New Boys Chestnut Checkers podcast. I'm your host, Pretty Boy Cam, and right next to me we have a special guest. She started the We Can't Breathe Foundation and Inc. Corporation, and she does so much in the community. Her father was lost to police brutality, and I just want to start off on how we're doing. How are we doing?
Today's a good day.
That's good.
Living day by day, taking it one day at a time.
And like I said, she is a special guest. Her name is Emarald Garner, and I'm glad you're here with us today. I hope that you're going to be a great guest. Well, I already know you're going to be a great guest because you're smiling, you're having a good time. So before we get started, how are you doing? Because a lot of people know what's going on in the community and with your father, but no one really knows about you. How are you doing?
Doing okay. It's a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of highs and lows. But the one thing that has been consistent for the past 10 years, almost 10 years, is my support. The support that I receive from the community and from people that don't know me personally.
Because it is the 10-year anniversary, isn't it? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel? How are you coping with that?
To be honest, I don't want to feel how I felt 10 years ago. So I made a conscious decision, and I'm very intentional about my healing, that I don't dwell on, what happened 10 years ago to my father. I'm really trying to change the effects of after. So, he was killed, and then it caused this uproar of protest and, people standing in solidarity, and it kind of pushed me into the limelight, and I wasn't ready for it. So I kind of went in fast and crashed. So now I'm kind of in my recovery, rebuilding, finding who I am, finding what's my role in this movement.
I love the way you said finding who you are. And it's Black History Month.
Yes.
Black people make ice cream. What's your favorite ice cream?
I'm old, butter pecan. I'm an old lady.
Yeah.
I like butter pecan or vanilla.
Because I love the fact that you are still healing, and the fact that you're able to say that you're still okay, but not okay at the same time, and that the fact that you're here today with us, and that you're saying you're still going strong, even though I crashed in the beginning, but I'm still going, I'm still moving forward. What can you say to other people that has been in your situation but not in the exact same shoe?
I think that when people are faced with traumatic experiences, they don't get time. So everybody say, oh, when you work at a job, they're like, oh, you get 5 days of bereavement. Who are you to tell me that I'm going to grieve for 5 days? I'm 10 years later and I'm still grieving. 5-6 years since my sister passed. 3 years after my father, still grieving. For the first 2 years after my sister died, as you know, she died of a massive heart attack 3 years after my father. I say she lost her life to the movement because she dedicated her life. She was there. She showed up. She went to all of the places. She protested. She stood outside the precinct every Tuesday and Thursday for 2 or 3 years straight. And at the end of her journey, she suffered a massive heart attack. I didn't want to have the same faith as her. And I also thought about who would be here for her children. So what I did was I took a step back for 2 years after she after she passed and we did the funeral, we laid her to rest. I said, for the next 2 years, I'm going to focus on my healing. Because when my father died, he died on a Tuesday. We were at National Action Network on Saturday. So there was no real time to grieve or to take that time. So I tell people, take your time. Like at first, I was trying to go to every interview, go to every podcast, every place because I was trying to get the word out, not realizing that the story is going to get out whether I talk about it or not. And it's in my time when I feel comfortable talking about it because what it did was drive me crazy. So now it's like, as soon as somebody says something that trigger, now I'm going off. It's this big dump truck that's just dumping everything out. So I take my time. I say no, not right now. I'll do it another time. Can I pre-record and send you the video later? I'm not as, stepping into each interview where I was just like, I have to be there, I have to be there. Now it's like, okay, now I have to look at what my capacity is. What can I do without stressing myself out, without overworking myself? So I encourage people to take your time. Worry about what you have to do first. What feels good in your body. Because if we're out protesting every day, how are we rejuvenating if we're not resting? We're not eating right. We're not sleeping right. We're just outside yelling and screaming at the top of our lungs, raising up our blood pressure, raising up our anger, and ultimately having heart issues.
So the fact that you said that, you're taking care of your kids and all hers. So what do you guys do for fun? Like, what do you guys are able to do that lives up in her memory, but you can still have fun? You don't have to, like you said, yell, get stressed. So what do you guys do?
Well, she had 2 children. So at the time, she had a 6-year-old. She had an 8-year-old and a 4-month-old, and I had a 6-year-old. So I took the 2 children, the 4-month-old and the 8-year-old, and it was a lot of making sure that I celebrate her birthday. So every year, I made sure that we decorated and we had a birthday party like she was there. For her daughter, I told her, like, listen, what do you want to do? What did your mother like to do? Her first thing was, let's go to Dave & Buster's. I don't like Dave & Buster's. I don't like Sky Zone. I realize that I'm not the type of person that like to be around a lot of little kids. So we go to water parks, we go to amusement parks because that's what we like to do. That's what we did with our father. That's what my sister did. And my sister loved to barbecue. She didn't care what the weather was. She was turning on that grill and she was grilling up some steaks. So I do that. Um, and I'm just starting to do more self-care for myself because I always put the kids first. I put the community first. I put everything first. And then at the end of the day, I'm looking around. Well, like, what about me? So I had a what about me moment where it was just like, all right, now, no excuses. Saturdays are mine. Therapy is only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Y'all not going to talk to me Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're not going to reach out to me and think that you're just going to get an answer. Sometimes I just don't answer my phone. Whereas before, I was just answering every call. So I just take different steps to do things for myself.
I love that because sometimes I actually have that struggle sometimes. I put everything first and I never know when to stop. I don't know when to say no. I don't know when to be like, I need a break. So when I do get to that moment, I'm at the highest I could be. And then everything crumbles down because I don't know when to say no.
And then you get the break. What do you do?
Yeah.
Because I had a babysitter for my birthday. I was just talking about, and I went home and I went to bed. And I was just like, I'm not an old lady. I say I'm an old lady in spirit because I was raised mostly around older women. So, but I'm 32. Like, I need to live life. I need to do things. I need to go out. I need to have fun and be around people my age that are doing things that are productive. But the reality is I can't because I go around people and as soon as they find out who I am, now it's the story instead of the person.
Yes.
So
that's what I wanted to get to because, like you said, like I said earlier, everybody knows the story, but we don't know enough about you because at the end of the day, you are your own person. Yes, you live in your father's legacy and you're setting a legacy of your own, but we don't know enough about you. Like, what are you doing in spare time? What are you doing? Because, like I said, the story, everybody's gonna know that.
Right,
Everybody's
gonna
find
know
out.
regardless.
Yes. So the fact that you're able to tell your own story and hear with us about you, like what is your legacy and how are you setting a legacy for your father, for your kids? What are you telling them, and what are they learning?
Well, they already know what's going on. My daughter was 2 when it happened, and while I was in Staten Island trying to figure out what was happening, she was at home and breaking news came across the screen, and the babysitter didn't get to the TV fast enough, and she was like, "That's my grandpa on TV. Why they doing that to him?" So that was a conversation that she had to have with my neighbor. So I didn't even get to tell her because she saw it on the TV before I even got to tell her. So, and I was just like, imagine my niece. She was 8. So she was a little bit older. And then with my father's situation, we were all adults. My youngest brother, he was like 16. So it wasn't like we were young children that didn't know what was going on. So, my father was a grandfather. So, I wrote my book a year ago.
And congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It was called Finding My Voice. And they fought me on that title. Because I told them, I said, I'm finding my way in this movement. I know I can't go protest every week or every day or go to every march. I have children. I got to pick them up from school. Marches turn radical. People get arrested. I can't get arrested.
But you was going to be in there somehow.
Right. But I have to figure out how I'm going to help. So my thing was focusing on the healing and the trauma. Let's figure out how we're going to focus on us, how we're going to focus on our mental health, and how is it going to be consistent. Because we know you meet with a therapist, you meet with them for 2 or 3 weeks, and the next thing you know, they don't work there, they moving somewhere else, or they're not connecting with you the way that you want to. You can't get another therapist fast enough. So for me, it's just the support, the mental health, not just saying, "Oh, I'm going to a therapist." No, but what does that mean? What are you talking about in therapy? How are you going to help me? So when I go to this session, if we're here sitting for 6 months and nothing is changing, then you're wasting my time.
Time, money, all types of things.
And I don't waste time. I don't like wasting time at all. So, what I tell them is that, listen, we're gonna have hard days. We're gonna be sad, we're gonna be angry, and we're gonna have our time. We gotta plan our depressive days.
Yes.
I say I plan my days. Listen, Saturday mornings from this time to this time, I'm gonna be depressed. I'm gonna be in my bed, I'm gonna be soaking. That's where I like to be served. That's where I got that from. Because I told my kids, I said, I work so hard. We go to therapy 4 days a week. Each child has 4 hours of therapy per week. So I have to do all that. I said, so what do I get? So now Saturdays, y'all got to serve me. So when I get up, can you serve me some breakfast? Can you serve me some coffee? I don't care if it's a piece of toast with butter. I just want you to bring it to me because that's going to make me feel good.
That's
You do something for
self-awareness.
me. Yeah. So I'm like teaching them, like, listen, it doesn't have to be something big, but if doing one little thing for somebody might change their whole life. Bringing me a piece of toast with butter is going to make me so happy. And they looking at me like I'm crazy. But they bring me my toast with my butter, and I don't mess with you for the rest of the day.
I love the fact that you brought in the word trauma because a lot of people, that every time that's thrown in the room, they think of everything. They think of one thing that might happen in their life, but that's a big word now. Everybody's using it. I'm using it, but not in the standpoint of, man, I just got trauma. I'm explaining my trauma. I'm able to talk about it. This is what happened to me. This is how I got to the point I was at. But now I'm working through it. I'm coping through it. And I love the fact that you're taking, like you said, taking those steps to make yourself better, being able to heal your own self. And that's beautiful because we don't have enough of that no more.
Right.
We have a lot of people, bad mental health, suicide, all that.
They give up.
And the fact, and you brought up your siblings. How many siblings do you have?
So my mom and my dad together had 4. Erica, Emerald, Eric, and Emery. My mother had 2 children before she got married. So Chardonnay and Dorothy, and then it's Erica, Emerald, Eric, and Emery.
So how are y'all all handling that? Are you guys sitting down talking about it, or
No. and unfortunately, what a lot of death in the family, it causes separation. And I'm very transparent when I say that my family fell apart. If we had that, if I could go back, right? Like people say, oh, if you could go back, what would you change? If I could go back and I could do one thing, it would be to sit all my family down and to say, like, listen, this is ridiculous. Like, we all need to get on the same page. It's too many of us to not do anything. It's too many of us to be in one spot. So, the idea for me and my sister was, okay, you going to this state, I'm going to this state, but we doing the same thing. You going to that state, I'm going to this state. You going to this radio station, I'm going to go to that. So we could cover all bases. We all can't be in the same place at one time. We all can't be there. So that was the strategy. But we can all do something. So if that's the one thing that I wish that me and my siblings had was a little more togetherness. And it happens with families and stuff like that. So and this was a really depressive moment. Like nothing like this ever happened in my family, like a public death. Just directly affected. A couple of months before my father was killed, his brother was killed in New Jersey from gun violence. But it didn't affect us the way that it did because, yes, it was on the news. Yes, it was a big deal. He was a big staple in New Jersey. It was just one of those things where it's like he was trying to do something nice for the community. It backfired on him and he lost his life. And then a couple of months later, then my father loses his life. And then, 2-3 years after that, my sister's gone. Then, it was just like a domino effect. And it was like, excuse me, like what is going on? So while I'm trying to advocate for one thing, all these other things are coming up. And then, everything is falling on me because they're like, oh, you speak so well, you do this so well, you do that so well, you're so resilient. But it's like, okay, resilience doesn't mean that I'm working through my trauma. Resilience doesn't mean that my mental health is okay.
Yes.
Like I could get up here and I could talk on the mic all day. That's acting. People go to school for that.
Yes.
So I was like, but I have to really take care of me because if I don't take care of me, who's gonna take care of me? There's nobody there. And my sister passing from a massive heart attack, and then last year my brother having open heart surgery. I knew back then that I needed to slow down because you never know what's gonna happen. So it's like, imagine if I was running crazy and keep going, I'd probably be laying right next to my sister. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. I'm not doing that. I'm paying attention to my body. I'm paying attention to what's going on. I'm being conscious and I'm being very intentional about my healing.
Yeah, like I said, I love the fact that you are taking those steps. I wish we was taught that at a younger age, so when we do get to your age and doing stuff big like that, we're able to slow down. We're able to work through what we got to do. And I mentioned it earlier, the We Can't Breathe Inc. Incorporation.
Yes.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, what is your goals? What are something you're trying to achieve in the community, even beyond New York?
Well, I started We Can't Breathe as a healing trauma and all forms of violence. Excuse me.
You
I
okay?
don't have COVID. But yeah, like I started it because I realized that, when I go to these interviews, like I went to an interview one time and it was a couple of minutes before they called me. And I was like, let me run to the bathroom real quick. And the man said, you don't have time to go to the bathroom. You need to go to this interview. I said, sir, excuse me. If I don't go to the bathroom, then this interview is not happening.
Yes.
And you could go get another family member because there's a lot of us.
Mm.
And that was when I realized I was just like, yeah, I don't care about the person. You care about the story. So for me, it was working with other people like, Botham Jean's sister, Ilyasha Shabazz, working with Andrew Kirsten's wife. These are people who lost their loved ones to police brutality, and talking to them and hearing a lot of the same things that I was going through. So what I started was Healing Justice Village. That was one of our projects where we got mothers who lost their children to incarceration together, and we would talk, we would heal, we would talk about, figure out where we're going to go. We met up for my book signing. We just support each other in different ways. We have a pillar that's called After Five for Justice, where I decided, I was like, I'm going to start a hotline. I'm just going to have a number that young people could call after 5 o'clock if you need to talk. I see too many videos online of young people losing it and people pulling out their phone to record.
Yep.
So now I gave them the idea, hey, instead of pulling out the phone to record, call me. I will get in my car and I will come to you. And if I could get you to come and sit down and talk to me, then I'm doing my job. If I could get you to calm down by just a conversation or somebody to just call when you're in that crisis moment, then I did my job. And we'll figure out everything else later. I don't care if you were somewhere where you wasn't supposed to be and it didn't turn out the way you wanted it. It doesn't matter that you wasn't supposed to be there. What matters is that you get home safe.
Yes.
So that was the program. And then we want to take that to different families. We want to take that to different people. We want to have them to understand, like, it's not all about just penalizing them for having a bad action. It's about how do we work through that? How do we get through that? They want to be somewhere that they're not supposed to be. Why they want to be there? And they don't want to be home.
What's the alternative?
Right. What's the alternative? They don't want to be at home. They don't want to be at school. They don't want to be at these other places. So they go here. So what's over here that's making them want to go there that they're not going home? So, I even have to check myself as a parent. Like, what am I doing that's making my 14-year-old go crazy? What is going on? Like, I had to tell her, like, girl, what did I do to you?
Yeah.
And it's like, I had to tell other people that raise kids. They were like, it's not personal. It's just young people. And I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. So, I'm not the knower of all things. But with my organization, I want people to know, like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to support young people, be consistent, and be there for them.
Yeah, because that's pretty much all we need. We need someone to be there for us. We don't always need y'all to yell at us and try to argue. Like,
Mama's going to yell.
Yeah, mama's going to yell.
Everybody can't yell at the kid.
Yeah.
If you can't, everywhere you go, you can't get in trouble. You already get disciplined at home. You don't need to go to school or go to other places and now you're disciplined for that behavior.
We don't need we don't need you guys to listen to talk. We need y'all to listen to understand. Because when you understand us, we'll be able to come to you sometimes with even important situations. Like maybe we having a bad day and we don't want to talk to you about it, but we know mama's going to understand. Mama's going to listen. She's not just going to listen to respond. She's going to listen to understand. So now I'm more open to come to you. Now I'm more open to be able to tell you what's going on. Maybe I have something going bad at school. Maybe I have something going bad in the community, and I'm able to tell you what's going on. because that's what happens to a lot of us young men and young ladies. Now we got something going on. We don't want to tell you about it because we know how you're gonna respond
Like,
or
oh,
react.
my mother gonna get mad.
Yep.
She gonna do this. Like, yeah, I might get a little upset, but we could talk about it. We could work through it because that's really ultimately what it is, and that's what the thing was. Like, me and my niece were battling. I was just like, I don't know why you have this behavior. And then after we got through the trauma, and the pastor stepped in, my church stepped in, everybody stepped in to help, and then she had like this glow, and I was just like, don't you feel better? She was like, I feel better. I feel like people love me. I feel like I have more support. I feel like, I feel lighter. I feel like you're lighter. She was like, you used to be mean. She's like, first you was nice, then you was mean, then you was nice. So I didn't know what to do, what to act. And I was like, a lot of it was because of your behavior. But then after we get through it, it was just like, I just need some more love. She just needed some more love and support.
Your book. You mentioned your book, and can you tell me the name again?
Finding my
Finding
voice.
My Voice. What made you want to really write that? Like you said already that it was your way in, but now you created a whole way for other young men and young ladies, and even older men and ladies to start writing. Because I wrote my book before. I know other young men have in New Boy, and that's a big wave right now. You can use your voice, but you're not speaking. And people don't really understand that. I said you can use your voice, but you're not speaking. So when now I'm not speaking, but you still hear what I'm saying, and I'm doing it in a much positive way than what I would do. So can you give me a little bit more about that?
I wrote the book because of the media, to be honest. Because I was sick of the media. It was just like I said with that one interview, where they're like, "Oh, you can't go to the bathroom." Like, who are you to tell me that I can't go to the bathroom? Like, would you tell this to Tyler Perry that's coming in here to do an interview? No, you wouldn't. So when you think about me, think about Tyler Perry too, because we on the same level. We ain't got the same money, but we on the same level because everybody know who's my father. Everybody know who's Tyler Perry. So it's just like, so give me put some respect on my name. I was in there like Birdman. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me, you gonna tell me I can't go to the bathroom? What is this? And I was like, okay. And then there was another one, I don't like to say the stations because I might have to go back there and do another interview.
Yeah.
So you don't want to burn bridges.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were like, oh, you had this person, they want to meet with you. Can you come at 6 o'clock? And I'm like, no, because I gotta go pick up my kids, gotta do the after school
Yep.
routine. So if you can't catch me during school time, you're gonna have to catch me the next day.
Mhm.
Then they said, oh, they don't want the story the next day.
Mm.
I said, I am the story. Tell them they
Mm.
can go interview another family member.
It's probably gonna be harder.
I said, I am the story.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted me to write the book, because it was just like, people don't realize. I look at Netflix shows, I see Eric Garner all over the place, I see murals, I see all of this, I see all of that. And, they're benefiting, they're wearing I Can't Breathe t-shirts, they're doing all this other stuff. I'm not making money off of that. I'm not making any profit. None of that is going to the estate. None of the stuff that my sister did, none of the money went to her estate. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I was just like, oh, so y'all want to play. So now we're going to write a book. And then my chapter about media is going to be media exploitation, because y'all try to exploit people. So in the book, I talk about how I go to these different interviews and they're just insensitive. And it's just like, even last month when I came out here, I had a whole spew about, listen, the book is the book. So if you want to hear about the day that everything happened up until now, it's in the book. If you want to hear about what I'm doing and going forward, then we can talk. But other than that, you need to look at that book. And when it turns into a movie, you can watch the movie. But for now, I'm not revisiting that trauma. And the guy sat down. I'm not allowed to say what I really think that he is, because I was told that that's not appropriate. But the guy sat down and he goes, "Oh, take us back to that day that everything happened." And I said, well, absolutely not. Do you have another question? Because if not, the interview is over.
And I understand that, and I'm glad you have been transparent with us,
Mhm.
with me, and letting me into your world. What are you going to do as a person moving forward, and like not letting go of your trauma, because that's who you are, but how are you moving forward into the future with We Can't Breathe Inc., and what are you going to do?
I'm not allowing people to emotionally beat me up no more. Like, you don't get to beat me up. You don't get to bring up the old stuff, because that's not me no more.
Mhm.
Like, I'm new. I've been baptized. I've been washed of my sins. I've been washed of everything. That book is that book. Once we move it into a movie, then we can revisit some of that stuff. But going forward, I'm a different person. Going forward, this is We Can't Breathe. We focus on trauma and healing. We want young people to be able to come and have a safe space. We want young people to come and do what and travel with us.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of people, they don't never leave out of their cities. They're scared to go away to college because they don't know what's going to happen when they're gone. Don't worry about what's going to happen when you're gone. But they don't understand that. So they need to see it. So, being around the organization and seeing that y'all do college tours and, taking the young people out and doing all that stuff, that's what's needed. Because when I was in foster care, I was a foster youth. They did a trip to Washington, D.C., and we went to a whole bunch of museums. And I was like, hey, why isn't this an annual thing? Why isn't this something that we do all the time? And then, last year I got an invite to the White House to the Black History event. And my daughter, she was like, I want to go to the Museum of the Bible. And I was like, that's pretty weird. You want to go to not weird, but it was just like for you to say that, 7 years, sixth grader. She's like, oh, I want to go to the Museum of the Bible and I want to go to the Spy Museum. I want to go here. I want to go there. I just want to know about all of these things. And I'm just like, how many kids feel that way?
Yeah.
How many kids will feel that way that will want to go to a museum that's a part of something that they want? How many people watch Inspector Gadget? They watch Spy Kids. So imagine going to the Spy Museum and seeing all of that. Now it's like, oh, now I want to be a spy. So that's gonna make you want to do whatever. And it's like they don't think of it as, oh, I'm gonna be a spy. Like as an adult, you're like, okay, that's good detective work. But they're not thinking of detective. They're not thinking that. They're thinking about what's happening right now. And if once they go to that museum, it's like, oh, now I want to be there. Now I want to do those things. I want those gadgets. I want those things. Go into the space museum. The child might want to be an astronaut and go up into space. You never know. But how would they know what they like until we show them? I always tell my kids, my favorite line that they will tell you, you don't know what you like. I know what you like. So, we don't know what anybody likes until they try it. So I always encourage people. And with the foundation, what I want to do is encourage people to try something you never did before. Like at least one time in your life. Try a food that you never ate before. Try a restaurant you never ate in before, a different type of food, a different type of drink. I'm a creature of habit. So that's why I always encourage people to do something different, because I didn't realize how much of a creature of habit that I am until my niece came to live with me. And she cried when she had to eat string beans. And I was just like, I just could not understand. I said, just eat the string beans, girl. Like, what is the problem? But just realizing that, okay, she didn't get vegetables while she was, she didn't eat a lot of vegetables, when her mom was alive. The food that she was being fed by the babysitter and all them other people is not the same. So I started cooking with her. So now she's in high school doing culinary arts. So it's like she didn't know that she liked to cook food. She didn't know that she liked watermelon. She didn't know that she liked fried chicken, baked chicken, sauteed chicken and noodles. She didn't know any of that. But I introduced her to it. And I said, just try it once. Her job was to try something new every month and she get paid $20. That's how we got her to try new food. That's how we get the kids to do stuff. So it's like as we're more hands-on and more consistent, they'll be more encouraged to do the right thing. Because right now, back in the day, it was, oh, if you act up, I'm going to call this person. Or you act up, I'm going to call that person. Who we calling now? Who we calling? That's going to make that person sit down. That's going to make that person sit down. Like, somebody's pop off.
Yeah.
But you have that one person in your family or in this organization that will walk in the room and you will not be acting the way that you acting.
And I appreciate you for coming and being able to talk to us and speak with me on a one-on-one level. And I'm glad that you came. And this has been a great episode. This is New Boy Chestnut Checkers Podcast. I'm your host, Pretty Boy Kim, and I was here with Emerald Garner. Thank you.
Thank you.